It's on my phone. Hang on, I'll meet you in a minute or two. If you wanna call me, call me, call me. You don't have to worry about it, baby. You can wake me up middle of the night, wreck my plans, baby, that's alright. This is a drop everything kind of thing. Swing on by, I'll pour you a drink. Doors unlocked, baby, leave on the light. G'day guys, how are we doing? Just give me a second here to work out the sound, make sure we're all go on that, and notice a new template. That's because we're doing something a little bit fresh today. A little bit fresh. Voila. So today, rather than just kicking into it and starting painting, I'm going to make the paint with you guys. So, hello Ryan, how we doing? You are literally in here in the first 20 seconds. Now, let me just readjust this stand here a little bit so I can actually have you close to me, because at the moment you're a wee while away. Just dropping things all over the show. There we go. Down and see your face on my phone. Hello. We don't need this one right now. So I'm going to take this one off. This is like a heavy weight. This is the iPad. We usually use the iPad by itself, so it's not really necessary to have out at the moment. The iPad's sort of the outdoor one. There we go. Perfect. That is ideal, I think. Is it? It works. It works. Is it hard to mix paint sometimes? Yeah, it is. You're about to see that now. How is he going to mix paint? Well, I've got my lovely little containers here. You know, I found these things at an op shop, and I really started liking them because they are bowls, first off, and with this kind of painting, we can only mix one colour at a time. Just the one. So, bowls to start with, but this little hook here makes them easy to hang on to. So while you're painting, it sort of stays in your hand really nicely. And it has that, it makes me grit my teeth. Right, so we got a few of these, 3 bowls to be precise, because that'll give us a whole tonal change. We'll have one wildcard bowl that switches between the primaries and secondaries, and then 2 other bowls which are going to go one light and one dark, and they'll go in all sorts of directions, all over the place. Now, I'm just thinking actually, I'm going to bring you guys down here. I'm going to bring you down here with me. There we go. Now after we've made the paint, next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint with it. So there's a couple of interesting steps that are going to occur here that you have never seen before. Or you may have, but not here. So we're going to get the paint, and there's going to be a byproduct from the paint. That byproduct's going to go in here, and then this is going to be our sustenance while we paint. We're also going to use some of this. This is distilled water. Distilled water, it's got to be, so it's lacking in minerals. And then our paint. Voila. Eggs. Not just any eggs either. These are Northland eggs, so they're very local to here. And the reason why we're using Northland local eggs is because there's a special thing inside the eggs called a yolk. And the yolk can be extracted and turned into what's called egg tempera, which is one of the most old school ways of painting. Yes, we've got someone trying it. Fantastic. Right. So this bowl here, I'll just move these around a little bit. This bowl here is going to be for our membranes, so the leftover yolks and the egg whites. And this one here is going to be for any spillage. We've got some wipes here, And we're going to put the yolks into here. So let's do it together. We're going to start painting. Of course, painting is what we do here. There's a white canvas behind me, but we need some paint. So let's do this. All right. I wonder, do we want to zoom in some more, team? We'll just get you right in here. There we go. How's that? I can't get you any closer than that. That's as good as we can do. All right. First egg. Right. We're going to get our hands a little bit messy with this process too, so bear with me. First things first. It won't once we start it. It'll be a real mess, guaranteed. Right, there we go. That can go there. And now here's our first yolk. Hopefully these eggs are nice and fresh. I haven't tested any of them yet, so we'll find out. And see, as I roll it from hand to hand, we get rid of all that egg white. Then pull this one over here. Lovely. Upside down. Little stabby tool. We're just going to hold that egg and drain it all out. That's our paint. Right there. That's the stuff. And that can go in there. And that is about enough egg tempura to cover half that canvas. So these are a very, very efficient way of working. Yeah, they're an old pair, but we should be doing better than that. All right, next egg. Right, open her up. Voila. And again, all of this stuff is going to have a home. It's going in this. That's for later. All right, out you come the leg. There we go. Ba, 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 ba. Hearing an echo. That's weird. You shouldn't be hearing an echo, but I can check this thing here to make sure. Nah, there shouldn't be any echo. It should just be me. Hello, Jules. We're making some more egg tempura. Cut the egg. That was, oh, that one really wants to come out. There we go. Out into there. Yeah, so it might just be the phone old mate's joining on. It might just be the device. What I actually reckon I need, because we'll modify this process as we go, is I think I actually need to have like a little dipping bowl. But anyway, we'll start motoring through these eggs a little bit faster. But we'll do a bunch of eggs, so then we've got enough egg tempera to get us through the first layer. And the first layer we're going to do in a whole bunch of purples, blacks, and pinks. And it's a portrait of 4 people, so that's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting. Come on out of there. There we go. Beautiful. Next egg. Chop. Perfect. Yeah, here we are. So I'm going to put 4 eggs in this one. 4 eggs in this one. There's 3 eggs in there now. So 1 more egg. Unless we want to put all the eggs in the same one, and then we can split them up later. The world's our oyster. Should I say that? The world's our egg. There we go. That's better. I toss it from hand to hand like this, just so it gets all that out of there. There we go. One lovely little yolk all by itself. There we go. Beautiful. See that? That's what we're after. We don't need the back, the membrane. We don't need the egg whites. We just want the yolk. You can use them, but actually it's not as handy. I've heard of some methods of egg tempura that use the egg whites. I personally don't get on board with it. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. I just like the yolks. It's all I want. All right. We've got people here from South Africa. That's wild. And that's a good amount there at the moment, but we'll keep going. I reckon we'll just do 6 eggs to start with. See how we go, though. There's really no hurry. We've got all the time in the world. Here we go. Another egg coming out here. Voila. And make sure your eggs are fresh. This is so important. A lot of people have trouble with this because they get cheap eggs or eggs that aren't fresh, and they pop them open, and then the egg membrane, the sac that the yolk's in, is just so fragile, and so the actual yolk doesn't work at all. So you want to make sure the eggs are nice and fresh, basically, which in this case they are, because you can see how I'm able to really toss it around in my hands, and even drop it like that, and it doesn't want to split. It's just a nice strong. This one's a slippery little fella. He's a really slippery little fella. Come on. When did I start doing this? I've been experimenting with this for about 3 months, and I've been waiting for the last few trials to complete themselves. So I've been trying it on a whole bunch of surfaces in a whole bunch of different ways. So it may have looked like regular paint, but secretly, I was working out the best way to make this work. So it's been a long journey, and now I think I've locked down the method that I like to do it with. A lot of it came into not just the paint itself, but the surface and the way it was primed. So there are a few things that came into it. Welcome in, Jay. Good to have you here. There we go. Get that out of there. One little egg. Turn it around this way, and so satisfying. Beautiful. There we go. We might just keep going. We're making good ground here, team. We'll just keep rocking through these eggs while our hands are all messy. You know what we're doing, Jay. We're making paint. Here we go. Making paint. So the surface itself, this is quite important. The surface itself has been primed with egg tempera. Egg tempera. Oh, sorry, not egg tempera. That's what we're putting on it. The surface itself has been primed with gesso. But before it was primed with gesso, and you might notice it's a little bit transparent even. See how it's a little bit brown behind me? That's because the surface was sanded lightly, very lightly, but then you put alcohol onto it. A 70% mix of rubbing alcohol. And what that does is it removes any remaining oil, which won't last the test of time, the linseed oil. And the other thing it gets is any bacteria or things like this gets killed. So once that's happened, 3 layers of gesso. Sizer, the glue, 3 layers of gesso, that's where it's at now. And then I like to use it with the raw gesso texture. It's got a bit of tooth, we'll manage. Well, we are making an omelette. We are indeed. Except before we cook it, we're going to paint with it. It's called omelette art. There we go. Let's do that one up there a little bit. And pop. Lovely. And for the old school people who are always here, Jules, Jay, BGB, Ryan, if you guys like seeing the paint being made when we start, I'm more than happy to do this each time. Because normally I'm literally sitting down at a desk getting the paint ready before I start. So I'm more than happy to do this with you guys. But if you're like, nah, do that in your own time. I appreciate that too. There we go. One more little egg. Do. Here we go. And snap. Ooh. There we go. That's the good stuff. Perfect. Go in there. Nice. And then the next one. Getting quite messy here. Oh, look at that. Michael is on the money. This is egg tempera. Now, one of the things that I've done here to make sure the paint's going to be good is all the things, dropped it. All the things have been sterilized. That's kind of important. Now, it may have no effect whatsoever, but provided everything's sterilized, you're making sure that nothing's going to actually grow mold in the long term. Now, it's highly unlikely that things go moldy in the long term. You've got chemicals like gesso around, you've got your pigments that go into the yolks, and then you finish the surface. Sometimes you varnish it and all sorts of things. So it's unlikely anything actually goes wrong. But just as a precaution, I like to make sure everything's sanitized. If only for yourself. If only for yourself. That includes your hands. They're the most important, especially under the nails as you're working with these. The egg whites. Oh, let me show you. There we go. So this is, just completed the tray there. Tempera is a binding agent. It's true. So instead of using chemicals like whatever's in acrylics and solvents and things to make, so oils, their binder is oil, linseed oil usually, but you'll typically find too that with oils there's a whole bunch of solvents. If you're in the room with oils, you take the lid off and you smell it and it smells bad, typically bad smell, bad for you. And people are like, oh, that's not true. It's like, paint in a confined space with oils, even for 45 minutes. See how you feel and tell me that's good for you. Anyway, with the eggs, the egg yolk acts as a binder, and because it's natural, for some reason, the egg yolk is perfectly balanced, and so it lasts into perpetuity. So you mix the egg yolk with pigment. So in this case, the pigment we're going to be using, it won't be powdered, it's going to be gouache paint. Pure gouache paint with a little bit of guar gum and a whole bunch of pigment. So that way we're not working with the powders, and we can mix it to different ratios, which I'm a big fan of. And then we have this here. A big, yummy bowl of eggs. Yum, yum. And what happens with the egg whites? They go in here, and we get something to drink while we paint, which is pretty exciting. Now, a little bit of this into here. So we're not cheating. To make sure the eggs run really nicely, it's great to add half egg, half water, but everyone's got a different mix. I started with a half egg, half water mix, but now I work with about probably more like a 40%, 40% water. So I'm increasing the amount of egg, just because I love the luminosity of the glaze. And see that there? See how look at that, you can blow bubbles through that. It's literally working almost like a soap. That's the, see one's now missing, bubble there. That's the perfect viscosity to paint with. Look at that. Really, really interesting medium. Really interesting. I have cracked eggs into the wrong bowls, cracked them into the all sorts. Yeah, it's tough. You sort of fall into a pattern and then you crack and look and go, oh, are you kidding me? Idiot. Now, bear with me. I'm going to come on back in just a second with a proper shake. 1 second. Da-da-dee-da-da. And a NutriBullet here. And then I'm going to go like this. Pour these into here. Voila. Beautiful. Beautiful. There we go. Fantastic. And then I'm going to get the lid. Where'd I put the lid? I had the lid. It was under here. Yes, it was. It was in the... Yeah, look, I found you. You go on there. Screw that on nice and tight. Okay, excuse me guys, this is going to be loud, bear with me. Give it a little bit of a rinse off. Let's get it around the outside there a little bit. Take that lid off. Lovely, and coming on back. Ba-da-bim-ba-boom, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, la-da-da-dee-da-da-doo. Here we are. So those eggs are perfectly fresh. If you're wondering what went into it, the eggs we literally just used, some blueberries and a scoop of protein. But there we go. There's our eggs. All done and dusted. All used up. It's actually really good. It's really, really good. Yes, the painting we're working on today. Right. So, we are making a family today. We've completed the train picture. Well, the train picture's on its stand down period for 3 days, but I think it's in the right space. Here is our family shot. I'll show you guys. Voila. So we've got 4 people, and there's lots of balance, beautiful, warm colours, and we're going to construct this piece for piece. I'm pretty excited. So, there's a couple of fun little aspects too. There's this noodle box down here, which will be a big white shape in the picture. There's the bean, a dark black shape, building on the composition. And then there's 2 fish here. And I'm wondering if the fish in the background are going to appear or fade into the background. Time will tell. Time will tell. Pretty exciting. Right. Finished with those eggs. We've got a stack of tempura. Absolute stack. This whole thing is just full. It's absolutely lovely to see. And we're going to kick off with our black. Now the question is, should I mix it in these clay pots, or should I use I think I might use a glass cup, because then you can see the colour as it gets mixed. Let me grab a glass cup. It's around the side here. Glass cup. Where is it hiding? This is the one we're after. This one or this one? This one. This is a lovely one. It's dainty. I like it. Here we go. Do you start with backgrounds? No. No. I hate that. Start with a background, and then add the foreground, and then add the characters meticulously. No. When you start a picture, start wild. Start free. Make sure that whatever you start with looks as little like... I mean, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't need to look like the subject on the first layer. Think of the first layer more like a caterpillar. And then as you go through the painting, it turns into a cocoon, it turns into a butterfly. But the more a caterpillar tries to look like a butterfly, and less it concentrates on being a caterpillar, not only does it do nothing, it doesn't improve the work at all. It doesn't help the butterfly. So, there's our paint. I'm going to grab just a little scoop too, because I've got a feeling when I pour, it's going to try and splash a little bit. And although I'm all about the splash, I'd prefer it if it was less splashy. Got 2 things that I need. Got the 2 things that I need. That smoothie's delicious, by the way, team. We've really nailed that. Now, here we go. Let's get a little scoop out of here. Voila. Ooh la la. There we go. It's only just small enough to fit. Here we go. Lovely. Right, so this is the first time you're going to see the egg tempura blended into the black. So let's grab a brush. Pretty big one. This is perfect for what we're after. Now watch this. That black there's the pigment, and then you can see the egg tempura under it. Now this is a property of the egg tempura. And remember, it's not tempura, like the veggie mix. I used to say that, I'm an idiot. It's tempera. So tempera means to combine. Now, as this combines into the black pigment, what's going to happen is the black pigment is going to completely take over the yolk. So it's not mixing black with yellow. In fact, if I added a white pigment there, the yellow would disappear effectively. So let's mix here, just around the edges, and you're going to see that egg completely change to black. Voila. And then I'll give you an idea of how this paints. If I should come up real close here. See that intensity of the black there? Perfect. Now, I've mixed in a large amount of tempura for this first bit. And the reason I mix in a large amount is because I want it to dry quickly. And the more black I add in, the more intense the colour will be. And we don't know where anything's going yet. It's going to be a wild journey of just adding paint to start with. So, BGB. A bit of science there. There we go. Let's put this back up here. A couple of paint brushes. Now, we're going to put this on the work itself. I think we're going to put it... What do you use for pigment? What's the thing? What's the secret? The pigment we're using is gouache. 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 And the reason we're using gouache is... it saves us having to slowly, if you look up videos online, you'll notice they're working with powdered pigments, which are very, very effective and strong and helpful. But as they're doing that, they're mixing, and I don't want to be doing that non-stop. I want to be able to, there we go. I don't want to be mixing pigments non-stop. I want to be painting. And so I use gouache, which allows me to actually get multiple effects too. Multiple effects. Matte with the gouache, and then the more egg I add in, the more iridescent it becomes. Right, let's spin you up here. There we go. Perfect. Here we go. Oh, you bet. You bet. Pop quiz inbound. I might actually... There we go. Bear with me, guys. It's not the most ergonomic thing in the world. There we go. Lovely. All right. All right. Now, this is going to go on not completely black because, remember, we spliced it with a lot of egg. So it's going to go on more like a shade, but it's going to dry incredibly fast. So there'll be perks. Let me just readjust this a little bit. Just gonna move this. Here we go. Wonderful. That's what we wanted. Beautiful. It's Mars black, lol, not real black. I like the fact that you've got an opinion, but in this case, it's incorrect. This is jet black. So it looks like Mars black because it's diluted, but it's not Mars black. There we go. So we're going to get quite rough with the early strokes. See this here? We're not trying to do definitive lines in the picture, but actually just capture the sort of wilderness in these shapes. And you can see how if I don't push too hard, I can get that quite specific brushwork occurring, which is kind of fun. No. Opinion's correct. If it looks like Mars black, it could be your own little rendition of Mars black. But unfortunately, I did use jet black. I prefer jet black to start with, just so it's very, very raw in the early layers. I like it raw in the early layers. Sometimes I have to use Mars black because there's an abundance of it, and so I sort of default to it, but in all honesty, I always prefer the jet. Or carbon. Give me some carbon. Big fan. Is this going to stay here for me? Stay. Might have to tape that down a little bit. Un momento. Got an inconvenient little DJI thing there. Opinions, yeah. The important thing though, guys, with opinions is get them from people who, whether they do or don't like you, actually have a vested interest in you being the best version of yourself. Because sometimes we can give some quite outlandish opinions to people and not really be all that helpful. And if we want to make sure our opinions come from a helpful place, that'd be helpful. How long does it stay good for? Honestly, if you add in a little bit of vinegar, you can make it last for, I'm told, quite a long time. But I don't do that. We don't make it last here. I mix it on the day, and at the very best, use it the next day. So that's my style. But at the same time, you can make it last. I don't like to do that. I don't like it. It's a fresh, organic, beautiful process. Why would you want to hold on to it and make it age? There we go. A little air that comes around here. Chin. There's 2 men's face here. You can see the first one on the left, the second one on the right. This guy's got a bit more facial hair coming down here. They both have some good facial hair going on. Refrigerate for next day? Yeah, of course you do. But like I say, guys, mix it on the day. You're working with something fresh. That's like saying, ooh, when's the best time to eat fruit? Can I leave it in the fridge for days and days and days? Of course you can. Best time to eat it? When it's straight off the tree. So the moment you crack the eggs, be thinking about how and where you're going to be applying that paint. Don't be thinking about how long you can store it for. That is, if you want to store things for long periods of time, you're talking about oil paints and you're talking about acrylic paints. This is not to be stored. This is to be used. There we go. And up. But this little tacker here, we'll be moving him around a little bit as we just make sure we land the scale all in the right place. Lovely. Beautiful. And up through here. Funny stand this one too. It's got more of a shake in it. I might actually... It's a bit of an annoying shake actually, all things considered. Let me just actually move it so it's hard up against the wall. Because at the moment there's this little tremor, if you're noticing that. It's a new stand. I purchased it because I wanted a fresh new stand. But I think I might have to just make sure that corner, there we go. Beautiful. Now that'll hold its ground, and this can come in here. Lovely. Will that go in here the whole way? It should do. Maybe if I sneak that under there. Nice. That's how I want that to be. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. Oh, trying to lose my colours there. There we go. Lovely. The other thing we've got here is a hairdryer to make sure any layers that go on too thick are fixable. Put this tile in here a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. I'm so invested now. I got to see what happens. Fair enough. Let's spin you around to here, guys. Hold on a second. There we go. Lovely. And I'm going to push this out here a little bit. There we go. Perfect. All right. How are we looking there? That's all good. That's all good in the hoodie. 297. We are 3 people off having a 300-person team. That's pretty exciting. So there's that lovely grey that we talked about. Lovely grey. Get a bit more abundant with where I add the stuff now. Let it splash around a little bit more. And up through here. As we slowly get the scale of the image where we want it. Yeah, we're going to do that. Just punch it in there. For me, my journey in art started probably when I was jeepers. When I was really young. Hello, Vic. For you, of course, we'll show the reference again. Here we are. Here's our lovely couple. So we're working on those big, dark shapes in it. Faces last. Well, I mean, detail of faces last. But actually, big, dark shapes first and foremost. That's what we're after. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Lovely. Big, strong beam through the top here. There we go. Bear with me for 1 second. Gonna grab this. Gonna grab this. And just... those little splash marks as they try and make themselves apparent. A couple of times when the brush misses. There we go. Perfectos. And I might... we're going to move to a larger brush. Yeah, this one here. Slightly wider. Allows us to get a bit more coverage here and there. Here we go. Beautiful. And one thing you'll start to see with this, it won't feel like it's tacky paint. Like it won't feel like you're looking at regular acrylic or oil. It almost will feel like, I know this is just black, so it's very early days, but that the shine comes from within the paint, which is pretty exciting. We're just going to put it everywhere. There we go. Oh, there we are. As it goes over, making sure it stays just thin enough to keep playing around with the surface. You'll start to see that big beam there, and a few faces start to appear. But I'm not quite sure that's where I want the faces to stay yet. We might migrate them up just a wee bit. That's why we do base coats. So we let those initial layers land, create some character. How do you trust the process? That's a great question. How do you trust someone in a relationship? How do you trust your husband, your wife? How do you trust your best friend? You need to make a decision for yourself. Decision for yourself, by yourself, to say, I'm going to trust you. And with a process, although it's not a person, you personify it and talk to it almost in the same way. And so I'm going to trust the direction. I'm going to trust after I've done this however many times, or having never done it before, I'm going to trust that we together can make something quite special. I'm going to trust that it's possible. I'm going to trust that we can be a part of it together. And I'm going to trust that if it all falls down and fails, that it's just not the end of the world. It's just not the end of the world. There we go. Yeah. So there is a bit of a battle that will occur between me and the texture as we slowly build up layers. By the end of this picture, ironically, we start with texture, but egg tempura goes on so flat that the end result is going to be flat. But we start with this wild texture, which is kind of funny, to start from texture and end up flat. It's probably one of the only painting mediums in which you do it that way. I kind of like that. And you'll notice that we're doing black over black. You'd be like, if you want to paint the whole thing black, why don't you just do that? Well, in this case here, you'll notice there's some pockets like around here where we've done 2 layers of black, but the first initial lines have stayed, whereas the next one over the top's more of a wash, which I'm a big fan of. Sorry about that. Let me just get this question here that's been pinned. What advice would you give someone starting their own art business? First off, that's a big question. And second off, it depends. If you're starting your own art business, you know that there's a business there that's viable for you, and you'll have your own way in which you're doing it. But if you haven't started yet, and you're talking about the possibility of starting, I would say don't get hung up on the idea that art needs to make money. I would say begin with the idea of making money to make art. And a lot of artists have side gigs. They're waiters, they work in offices, they are photographers. Like photographers have jobs as, say, they want to be an artistic photographer, but they do weddings and they do headshots. Whatever you can do to make money to go after what you believe in. There was a long time where I actually was painting just for me because I wanted to make art and not sharing it out there into the world, just doing it for me. So that's where it became, people started asking for commissions, which changed it. But I would have just kept doing it for me in perpetuity. Because I love this, guys. I love adding paint to a 2D surface, watching a picture slowly emerge, just layer after layer, stroke after stroke. It's pretty fun. If you missed it at the start, don't worry. We started by making the paint. So this paint we're using, we literally made today. And then this is the byproduct. Delicious. And really good. This is called egg tempera. And we're going to have a little coffee as well. A little coffee, a little bit of egg tempera, and let's dabble away. Let's go. Just down through here. Lovely. I'm probably gonna, dare I do it? Ooh, I like this. I hadn't noticed this originally, but there's a little bottle head here. And I love this because the two partners, they won't notice. They will notice because they'll remember it being there, but anyone else won't know about it. There we go. Well, of course, now I've told you all, but it's a subtle little bottle head just down there. Anyway, more paint. We're going to do one little thing. We might have to do this a few times. just in this middle part. That's all it needs. Egg tempera dries so fast that that's literally all it needs. And sometimes you can get tricked. Like I'm touching this now, it looks wet. It's not wet, it's actually dry, but there's this amazing shine to the paint. It's just quite precious. Paint. We're going to add a bit of purple to it. Now, if you've been here before, you know that I have an absolute obsession with adding purple to my work. I just feel like the old masters, had they had purple in such abundance, would use it as often as they could. And I want to show you my obsession at the moment with it by picking up these. These are all my purples, different shades of purple. We've got Brilliant Purple, Spectrum Violet, Windsor Violet, Brilliant Violet, and Magenta. And then I've got about another 5 pinks over here. So, obsessed with it. But I like it because Royal Purple, back in the old days, was not something people could get a hold of. It was so rare that artists would actually charge deposits for artwork from royals so they could actually afford to buy the paint, and it was accepted. That is wild. If you're painting for a royal, they are paying you once you are finished. But the paint was just too expensive for them to even start the project. It's so wild, anyway. Okay, depth of color. Let's do it. See that there? Look at that. Now that we're doing it with way less egg, more pigment, you're seeing, look at that. Before when we did this, you could see the into the glass because the transparency was enough. But now, all you see is just raw paint. The gouache paint we're using is such a powerful pigment too. It just wants to leap off. Lovely. Just fill in this area. Just playing with it. We're not on any particular direction here, team. We're just grabbing the shapes that we see and we're constructing them onto the surface. That's the goal here. Grabbing the shapes we see and presenting them on the surface. And see this head here, we got way too excited there. Let's bring that whole thing up. This comes up to about here. There we go. This is where our little tack is going to go. Cute little head coming in there. There we go. Lovely. And then dabbling out around here. And down. Up and down. Up and down. If you haven't listened to Value Boys for a while, do yourselves a favour. Chuck it on in the car today. They knew how to make a beat. Boom, boom, boom. What a tune. What a absolute banger. Now, this here, roughly about here. We still haven't really, you're like, he's committed to shapes now. No, we still haven't really committed to where things are going to be. We're just enjoying the big, dark shapes, the big light shapes. And letting it just come together. There we go. Stargate, you're an absolute legend. Appreciate you. Now, but like I say, we're not going for shape off the bat. We just want to get, not going for actual exactness in the picture off the bat. We just want to get the shapes. And I've just added a little bit more color into it so it's not just black. So I can play around with these purples. Purple's absolutely phenomenal. If you want to go the extra step with it, and I do this sometimes, sub out black altogether and just use a deep purple. Your whole picture becomes that much brighter. And it's kind of fun. More colourful, all the things. Here we go. Down in here. There we are. Beautiful. And around here. Lovely. Discovery and art style. I think, I suppose if you look at my style, it does seem kind of wacky, kind of strange. But I think you discover it by living life. I know that sounds really cheesy, but when I was in high school and university, I didn't know how I wanted to paint. And it didn't provide me with as much pleasure as it now does. So I think going through life, meeting people, caring about others, and eventually coming back to art, and then applying that same love of process and that same love of just life in general, you sort of reach a point in your growth where you think, actually, I'm going to do it like this. And then finally, when you do it like that, suddenly everyone resonates with it so much more than they ever did with your poor attempts to sort of be you beforehand. Be you. It's such a cheesy thing. 2 letters, 2 words. But if you do it, it's so infectious, so contagious, so freeing for you and anyone else watching. It's kind of cool. There we go. Let's get some of this around here in his head. I can't help it, guys. The haircuts, the gorgeous, gorgeous haircuts, but I come back to them, and you can see here, I'm supposed to be painting all the shapes and things, and yet my monkey brain is just drawn to the fact that there's 2 dashing haircuts here, 2 gentlemen, and you can see me actually not touching the face and just framing around it. This is the problem of the human psyche. You try and act primal and wild and creative and notice the shapes and allow the whole picture to be treated equally. And then you go and do that. So this is egg tempera. We made the paint this morning, literally on the stream. So the stream started with me making the paint. It's literally down here. These are the eggshells. Voila. And then we have the egg tempera in here. We'll grab some more of that shortly. And then we have the egg whites over here in a protein shake. Yum. A coffee here. And we're just making the art now. That is the trick. But I've said that for the 3rd time now, so if y'all can help me out next time someone asks, I'll be forever in your debt. There we go. I love the shirts these 2 gentlemen are wearing too. Fantastic. I do like a good collared shirt, team. Absolute sucker for a collared shirt. Doesn't have to be a full-on suit shirt or anything like that, but a collared shirt, I like it. Such a weird question. Do hair strands bother you? No, perfectly all right with it. No, I think you mean like in terms of painting hair. And no, just treat everything in the same way. Lights, shadows, colours. We always want to make a face look perfect, don't we? The perfect hair, the perfect shot. If you want it to look perfect, may I recommend a camera. But if you want to capture a likeness in a wild flurry of paint, don't get hung up on hair, noses, mouths, eyes. This stuff is not what makes the face. There's shapes, moments, little parts, not just the main features, but little things in the face that your eyes notice, that fire in your brain to recognize a person beyond just the fact that they've got mouths, eyes, and ears. And if you can actually ignore the fact there's a face there and just spot the shapes that make it, just briefly, then you'll capture quite a real essence of that person, which is pretty compelling. It's fair. Is there a legit reason? Honestly, not at the moment. I just wanted a vessel which you could see the pigment that I was currently working with. And right now it's fairly dark, so it's fairly irrelevant. But I wanted people to be able to tell if it was pink or blue. It worked really effectively yesterday. I thought that was pretty cool. But since this is just completely dark, we sort of miss out on that. God, this is a fun pigment. Always use this stuff fresh, guys. I'm going to come out and say it. Don't put it in the fridge afterwards. Don't put vinegar in it. Make it and use it on the spot. I really, really recommend that. I've got stuff that I've put in the fridge, and I just don't believe it runs as perfectly over the surface as it does the day you make it. And I don't think that's surprising, being that you're dealing with a fresh thing. It's like you're making an omelette, you store the eggs for a day. I just don't believe that's going to be as good. There we go. There's a noodle box there, which is kind of fun. And we'll splash this around through here. There's a hand just down to here. Lovely. And around here. Arm comes down here. Beautiful little arm. There we are. Reaches out to the corner of the frame. I love that. I hadn't noticed that when I first looked at it. So in this corner, we've got a bottle, at the top of a bottle of beer. And in this corner, the child on the left reaches out and grabs the corner of the frame, which brings a lot of relevance to that corner. I like that. I like that. All right. And then there's a lot of darkness here from a wide variety, influx of hair. Cheers, Jules. And then let's come on down here. Lovely. God, I can't wait to sit down after this live, listen to some Vega Boys. He's not even joking. That's beautiful. There we go. More up the top here. I need like a little, I need a little stool. Oh dear. It's funny, I was actually chatting with everyone about it yesterday. I'm actually 5'11". I thought I was 5'7" or 9 or something. But these paintings are always so large that they dwarf me still. Absolutely dwarf me. I like a big painting though. Something that really towers over you. That you can really feel like you're in the presence of something being created. I can only imagine when they were doing the cave drawings, it was so satisfying to have a borderline endless surface spanning out through the cave that they could explore and create. Like, pretty fun. Yeah. I remember when I was working at summer camps, we had a cherry picker, and that was really fun to paint on when I was doing signs and painting walls and things, because you do one little area and then you just move around, and it was pretty stimulating, all things considered. If I was ever going to do a big mural, if I could afford it, I'd be hiring a cherry picker. It would give me a little kick. All right. Now, to make this paint a little bit more fun, because we've sort of got a lot of purple going on right now, I don't think I want to splash in there with any more. But I think if I get magentally in here. So bear with me. This here, a little bit of this, and this color is amazingly, what's magenta? It's kind of like a sophisticated pink. If I had a favorite color right now, it would be magenta. I'm going to grab just a little bit of our egg mix, just to top me up a little bit. And then paintbrush, still the big one, still the place to be. I'm going to show you on the side of this glass what we do. Here we go. I can get a little bit of egg there, and it starts. Is it going to show you guys the color we're now working with? Or have I made just too much of a mess? We've made too much of a mess, but I can show you a little bit there. You can see how the colour has changed ever so slightly towards a slightly lighter purple. So, big fan of this stuff. Right. Get this properly mixed in though. So we got a little bit of black, a little bit of purple, and just a little bit of magenta. All adding towards this big purpley mess. Kind of fun. Kind of fun. Here we go. Just put through there, and then this child here has got a lovely little pair of khakis, which will represent just down in here. And so the underlying colour of a lot of these tans is going to be magenta. So there's going to be this beautiful, sophisticated purple, pink undertone to a lot of the painting. It's like adding life to a lot of the wood textures in this picture. And the same story, we're adding on top of each other, and you're able to see through the layers. Here we go. Lovely. God, I like this stuff. This is just so much fun. This is just beautiful. It's hard to tell. With oils, you can tell. You're like, right, that's wet, that's dry. And same thing goes with acrylics. But with this stuff, it has this amazing luminous quality that I'm looking over the canvas and being like, is that wet? Is that dry? Where are we at? What's going on? And it's going to take some getting used to. Typically, the best way to know where's actually dry with the egg tempera is having the memory of where you've been. That's the way. Kind of funny. Okay, we're going to do a little cut here in the faces. I've avoided them for long enough. So this guy's got some amazing stubble just under his chin here. Reaches around, frames his face actually quite nicely. And then he's got a little bit here, the back here, well kept. Out to the sides, and it comes down the side there nicely. He keeps it short on the sides, but not as short as the next fella. Now there's going to be a little bit, watch this, we're just touching here. This is going to give you an idea of face, but don't get excited. Again, we're just adding in some touch points. Tiny little touch points. And then over here, we've got two. See this guy here, one of his fantastic features on this guy's face is just an absolutely lovely set of eyebrows. And then his facial hair comes the whole way up his face. He's got the full beard going on. Here we go. So you can start to see the features that frame those two gentlemen, but we're not finished with them yet. Here we go. And then we're going to sneak in here. Hello. So if you look carefully, you'll notice the purples now have a slightly lighter tone, but we're still in the darkness, team. Still in the dark tones, which is good because we're still trying to figure out the shape of the painting, where everything's going to go, how it's going to be there, what it's going to look like. Just being a little bit wild, a little bit crazy, a little bit all over the show, and hopefully we pin some things down where we want them. But we can't anticipate it right now. I like to refer to a painting like rolling dice. And we hope that dice after dice roll, we just get sixes after sixes, and the painting falls together in this beautiful format where everyone can get a little bit of magic out of it. But you can also roll ones. You're dealing with the craft of chaos. And sometimes chaos bites you. When it bites, suddenly you're dealing with, that's nice, you can see his elbow coming in there. You're dealing with the painting heading backwards. But at the moment, I kind of like how this is going. I kind of feel like we're in a forward trajectory. I'm going to shrink this box down a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. Provide some more room here for this beautiful child. This is a great family. This is a family, guys. So we have a family of 4. There we go. Beautiful. I caught that comment. Only just. Mandy. All right, now let's have a look-see here. A little bit through here and a little bit over the top. Beautiful. I love the little girl's hair here as well. She's got a fantastic head of hair. And the most popping little eyes, which I'm just going to add in a little dot there now to start framing where that's going to be, but it's still early days. And then up here, right up at the top. Perfect. And a few little pieces. Now, I need to swap to down with that one, down with that one. We're going to move on to a lighter colour. Lighter colour. Without this falling out of the back. There we go. Right. 1 second. Bear with me. Perfect. Good enough. Next thing to do, we're going to get our, before I just get a little drip running down there, 1 second. Trying to go down the side of the canvas. Naughty little drip. There we go. Mixed you up. I've got this thing. I don't like drips. Just lap them up, get rid of them. There we go. Beautiful. Such a cop-out with painting sometimes, with the running down of drips everywhere. But I like to have the painting really perky. I feel like drips make it feel like it's like a fading, melting work. I love it when it looks like the work itself is just buoyant, happy, and perky. So, no drips for me. I want it all to be hung there, looking good. Okay, next colour. Smaller brush. See that there? Perfect. Or will we? We're not quite ready for one that thin yet. So this is the one we're after. We're going to grab this container here. We're going to grab a bit of this, a little bit more. Beautiful. And then we're going to get the first colour in our warm set. So we've got our dark colours down, but now we need a colour that's going to allow us to really start bringing in that wood background that's in them, that skin tone, but not with those tans yet, with something quite warm. Do you want to give it away to you? That's good. I might even add just a little bit more. Beautiful. Lovely. Stand back and have a little look-see. This is going to have a drastic impact on the whole work. That's all right, guys. Just let it roll. Let it roll. Here we go. And we're going to let this stream through here. There we go. Now this is going to be, this is Venetian red. Over the top, just like that. There we go. Now, this will fill in most of the gaps we haven't touched yet. And we'll see where it takes us. First time we're going to come into the face here a little bit. We're going to start letting that darkness come across the face. There we go. Beautiful. Now we're talking. Honestly, a painting like this, 20 hours, sometimes it comes together in 5. But I like to give myself 20 hours. So 2 or 3 painting 10 or 12 painting sessions of about half an hour each. But with egg tempera, because it dries quite fast, we can get multiple layers down together. So every time I pick up that big loud gun and start on the surface, consider that a new layer. Because we're drying everything, and egg tempera dries so fast, and we can keep adding it all up in layers, which I kind of like. There we go. There we go. So you can see how it's not conventional skin tone, but it's building in the dark areas, the warmer areas, the warmer shades in behind them and behind their faces. You've got to be careful not to mix it too much in this pot too. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it into a pavlova, which would be a disaster. Okay, leap down here. Look at that, bouncing over here. Now we're talking. All over through here. And then on the hand, there's a hand that comes down through here. Perfect. All the way through here. Lovely. So you'll start to see this gentleman coming in more. I want to make sure there's one thing I really want to capture in this shot. I want to capture, they're leaning in slightly to each other. This gentleman here holding the child, leaning in towards his husband, and this gentleman here, slight lean, but actually he's holding his position. And so I want to capture not so much that he's requiring him and leaning in way too much and reaching, but just enough to show love. That's what we want to get, just that subtle amount. Just that subtle amount. Here we go. In the background, this is the colour. We'll let this slash all through the background. Let's dive in here. Yeah, I agree with Vic. That's a good move. Here we go. A little bit more through here. Lovely. Now keep it thin. Keep it thin. The temptation is to lay it on really thick. Start defining. But I want to let it all just sink in together just a wee bit. There we go. We're running out of areas where gesso still has been untouched. Everything you see that's white is currently raw gesso, but that's running out really, really fast. There we go. And that's what we want. We want to be working on egg. That's the goal. Beautiful. Down here. Lovely. And then through here. Now, if you missed it earlier, we started making these paints together today. We made them together, and now we're painting with them. And we've got a stack left. Absolute stack. But the key here will be to get these warm tones and get them drying. Because once they're dry, we can always come back and embolden the whole thing with a wonderful, wonderful amount of light tones. There's that hand coming the whole way down. Beautiful. Oh, thanks, Brittany. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I'm going to add a bit more of this to the face and see how I'm not forcing myself to see, ooh, nose, ooh, mouth. We're just slashing. Just slashing. Allowing that colour to become part of the face, but not to get hung up on features of the face. The bigger the brush you do the face with, the better off your painting will be, because you won't get hung up on the little details. It'd be like starting a business and then spending half a day worried about staplers. Don't do that to yourself. That's a great question. The colour themes, typically the photo dictates that a little bit. So this photo has a wonderful warm palette. But to get a warm palette, proper, lively browns and things like that, I find a good place to start is with an underlying layer of violet and magenta. So that's what we've done. And then as more life comes into it, as more oranges, Venetian reds, warm yellows, they'll have this underlying tone of purple and magenta. And I kind of like that because the alternative, I don't so much like the alternative, is that you have this flat work that tries to be happy. You may have seen work like this before. It tries to show love or be full of vitality, but what ends up being the case is that you just see this vibrant colour without that feeling. And usually it's a result of not adding that depth of colour into the background, not getting those other tones and building it up, just charging straight at the result. And as much as I love a good charge, a bit of colour building is important to do it. And Steve, I just see your name popped up there. Steve, I need to talk to you because I have a surface, but I want to confirm the size with you before I start. Rather than just be like, hey, I hope you like it. I've been prepping it and things, and if it doesn't work for our project, it's totally fine. I can use it for something else entirely, but I'm hoping it's exactly what we're after. I'm pretty excited about it. It's different from the other works we've done together, which is pretty fresh. Here we go. Down in here, right down. Next colour we're going to come in with in this picture, blue. There's a whole bunch of blue shirts. There's blue in the depths of the wood. There's blue in the beam. I'm going to capture that into the background too. So that will be the next thing to get, to make sure these shirts start getting the depth that I need them to have. And we're not far off throwing in the towel on this larger brush. They've got a purpose. They don't have longevity. There's a perfect one here, this size here. This is my favorite. If I could only use one brush for the rest of my life, it'd be this one. So it's got a rounded tip, so you lack a bit of detail, but it's a fantastic length, synthetic long handle, 20 mil. So that can do detail if you need it to, and it can also cover large areas if it needs to. So it wins on a bunch of fronts. On a bunch. This was a really good job. I wish I'd measured that ratio because we hit that on the head. Hit that nail on the head. That's a good saying. If you don't use that overseas, I'm sorry, hitting the nail on the head means you nailed it. Now, I did not measure the mix of blueberry egg yolks and blueberries, egg yolks, and protein powder. Silly me. But anyway, let me mix this up in here. What was he doing? I added a little bit of yellow to it. So just to warm it up that little bit further and to create that little bit of difference. So you'll see that coming in there now. It's got this lovely burnt sienna look. Jules, you're a legend. And Brittany, you've been here from the start. You watched us mix the paint, and I love that. Have a good night. Catch you later. And you can see how it turns out later on. We'll all find out together. Get this whole face covered. There we go. Egg tempera over the whole thing. Lovely. And coming down in here. Beautiful. That's exactly what we're after. This box here, also, although it's white, we're going to give it this underlying tan colour. Beautiful. That's what I'm after. Lovely. Now, one of the wild cards about egg is that it dries within seconds. So you are working with a medium that literally, as you're painting, wants to be dry. So first off, it's your responsibility to make sure it keeps wet while you're applying it. And then once applied, that it's drying as fast as humanly possible to make way for more coats. That's what we're after. A little bit more through here. We'll just get this whole area covered. Get that out of my eyes. There we go. And then down in here. Lovely. Done. A little bit more in there. Here we go. No stone left unturned. On this face here, we are going to embrace the whole face now with just a little bit of paint, getting that gesso coverage and allowing him to get his full facial colouring in there. Beautiful. To the edge, to the edge. Perfect. Cheers, Steve. It's a very, very unique method. And the fun thing about this is as you watch this paint landing, this is not like oil paint and it is not like acrylic paints. Two properties separate it. Well, a couple of properties. One of the properties is that the paint itself looks like it's glowing. Whereas with acrylics and oils, you add the glossy things into it, so then it shines light. But with egg tempera, when light hits it, it literally feels like light's emanating from inside it. So it has a special quality to it. And honestly, I prefer it over all the other things. I love oils that are buttery and smooth and they're so strong with their pigment. But in terms of egg tempera, I've never experienced a painting where it's so pigmented and strong with its color, but then when you look at it, it literally feels like the light source is inside the painting. When I noticed that, I realized that that's the only way that I was going to paint from now on. It has this amazing quality. And you need to stand in front of an egg painting. That sounds like the weirdest sentence to say. You need to stand in front of an egg painting to really appreciate that and notice that, oh, I see what he's saying. The light does seem to bounce out of it. It's wild. But anyway. Last Supper, egg painting. That amazing picture of the girl in the field on the ground looking over at a house, egg painting. The birth of Aphrodite or birth of Venus, egg painting. Da Vinci was an egg painter predominantly, and he swapped, obviously, for the Mona Lisa and things, but he did a lot of egg paintings to start with. The reason why a lot of us left it, it's very time consuming to prepare. Whereas one of us can just start painting off the bat, take it out of the tube, any color you want, and start painting, and it lasts indefinitely. And then you could go through the process that we went through, where you literally meticulously mix each color one after the next and slowly create the binder and slowly create the art. Each to their own. Each to their own. Now, personally, I love that. Send me on a pilgrimage to slowly develop color in a piece. Now, next color off the ranks is going to be Opera Rosé or Soft Magenta. Opera Rosé. That's the call. I'm fairly confident, Steve, but I have a bit of brain fog, that it was Da Vinci. The Last Supper is made on different, actually. It's made on stone panels. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not a work I've actually studied. I studied history of photography of all things, but the stone's a really great thing to work on for egg tempera. The only problem with stone is that it's so heavy. So if someone buys a work, you're literally shipping something like the 10 Commandments, which is a challenge in itself. But I would suggest working on masonite or bamboo board. These two things are perfect. I like bamboo board, but it hasn't been proven with its longevity yet. We're still figuring that out. If you want to have something that's definitely been proven to go the distance, just use what the old masters used. Whatever they used survived the test of time, and until something else proves itself to have made 2,000 years, so it'll be 4,032, then I would stick to what the old masters said and did. Now, I know that seems like a dinosaur way of thinking, but when you're talking about making artwork survive, provided it doesn't get in the way of your creative escapade, having a way that you know if someone takes a chance on your artwork, that the artwork will survive into perpetuity. That is the fun. Now look at this popping pink we're adding in here. Give me that pop. I'm going to add just a bit more in there, but before I do, we've had a lot of fun here. We've all had a lot of fun. I'm having fun, you're having fun, but I drank a bit too much protein powder, protein shake, so I need to go to the bathroom. And I'll be 30 seconds and then back. If my screen here would work. It's pausing on me. Anyway, I'll leave this here and I'll be back in 30 seconds. Try not to miss me too much. Un momento. Jeepers team. That's fantastic. I've been holding that in ever since we finished making the paint. But now, I feel like a brand new man. Okay, here's our picture. We've got a whole bunch. It kind of reminds me of that farming picture where they're holding the pitchfork at the moment. Just a modern day, lovely one. Anyway, pink. We're going to combine a little bit more pink in with that. It's going to come from our other source of magenta. There we go. Just to really make the pigment pop. Right, here we go. And swipe on that. Now, let's get a lot of this mixed in here. This is magenta. And now, where'd my picture go? Naughty, naughty. There we go. I saw something about paint water. Nah, this is the same water we mixed in with the eggs, yes. But no, it's my water bottle. The only requirement on that is that the water be distilled. Distilled water, first and foremost. Any of those minerals in with the water can cause your mixture to have things like calcium, things that'll break down and break the artwork down over time. To be avoided. To be avoided. All right. Let's slash this through here. Come on down through here. Lovely. You can can see those pinks having a huge impact. I really want this painting. Family and love. That's what this painting wants to be capturing. Those two elements. That's why it exists. It exists as a celebration of this family specifically. So our job is to make it capture that. That's the goal. Here we go. Jules, you're an absolute legend. Here we go. A little bit of this on the fish. You can see the two little fish starting to show up here. Kind of fun, actually. There we go. Lots of colours bouncing over each other. And you can see how we're adding colour on top of colour. Oh, jeepers. I read that wrong the first time, Steve. I read that Michelangelo did do the Last Supper, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. How did I get that wrong? But yeah, I see what you're saying now. You're totally excusable. I studied this in university. I should know better. But still, same time, slap on the wrist for Sebastian because I wasn't fully confident. But I was feeling a little bit foggy, so bear with me. Bear with me. All right. Now you see those pinks? They are changing the dynamic of the work a little bit, but in a nice way. They're adding that other element. I always find by adding pinks and magentas into an image, you loosen it up, make it seem loving. And I gotta say, Amy, first off, you're an absolute legend. I was gonna say, I absolutely love working with this size. The reason I love working with this size, and people ask me this, clients and people wanting commissions ask me this, why do you like 900 by 1200? Because when I stand in front of it, here's me, almost like a boxer, in front of the painting. See how my reach can get everywhere. And in this corner here, nothing more than a right angle, so I can paint every part of it long ways. It's a little bit tall, but down here as well, with a little crouch, again, can reach the bottom by going no more than a right angle. And that is the perfect size of a painting. So rather than thinking there is a golden size for all painters to work to, think about it this way. Each painter, with the scale of their arms and their height and their length, has a perfect canvas size for them to work to. Adam, thanks, you champion. There we go. Okay. Get a bit more depth in here. Ricky, you're an absolute legend. Now, where else are we going to go? Just through here. There we go. Beautiful. And now, as you see these colors land, the picture seems to come together. But at the same time, when you come close to egg always has a transparent quality. It never goes fully opaque. And the beauty behind that is as we go layer after layer, moment and moment, stroke after stroke, you can still see through all the colors. All the colors. Here, we can see those warm Venetian reds, those magentas, these now more pinky magentas we're adding in, those violet, those deep violets, and the black at the back. So layers on layers. That is what's beautiful about this. You never feel like you're losing bits of color. You always feel like you're adding to it. But sometimes with acrylic, you feel like by painting, you're losing parts of the painting, what made it what it is. Because you're covering them up. There we go, we'll just add this iron here. And a rosy cheek. This gentleman on this side has amazing rosy cheeks. We'll capture that. How important is lighting? Great question. And actually, I've got a tool which I can use to spot lighting, but I don't have it on me at the moment. It's charging. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll plug it in because we can have some real fun with this tool. 1 second. This is it. This is the tool I love. If there's any juice left in it, there we go. Not enough to use. Basically what this tool does is it lights up with a whole bunch of different neon colors. And you can scan it over the painting to see what colors are lacking, no matter what color environment you're in. Outside is where I love to paint the most, and the colors always change as the sun rises and sets. Van Gogh had a rule. He had a rule that he would paint for 4 hours a day when he was making the sunflowers. And as he was making them, sorry guys, just plugging this in, he'd have the amount of time it took the sunflowers to wilt and the 4 hours where the sun was perfect to capture sunflowers. And that was all he had. All he had. And so, in that same way, yes, I agree. Having full control of the lighting would be perfect. Having full control of every aspect of our lives would be fantastic. What's necessary? What's necessary is a psychology, the mental state that you go into a painting with. What is unnegotiable is the fact that when you do artwork, when you create a piece, you give it your best. You formulate something that actually does capture the vitality and love that you want to capture. And you don't compromise on that. I'll compromise on lighting. I'll compromise on color. I'll compromise on surface. But I won't compromise on the energy. I say energy, it sounds cheesy. But the vitality and joy that I plan on transposing. We will not compromise on that. This is a picture that will last indefinitely. Or at the very least, be in a place in their house where they'll see it over and over again, day after day. And so as an artist, you have the responsibility to create something that will give them the best possible boost or the best possible memory to strengthen their family, to strengthen them. That's the responsibility of an artist. Don't take that lightly. In terms of watercolor, no, I don't. I'm not a watercolor boy. I've used a bit of gouache in my time. My biggest recommendation for any medium you use is dabble with all of them. Play with them all. And the reason you want to play with them all is you'll learn things from gouache and oil and acrylic and watercolor and charcoal. You'll learn things that you'll apply to your own craft in lots of unique different ways. But if you stay in your own sandbox, and you close your mind off to all the ways you can create, you just won't let yourself go as far as you could. I think the temptation to think all the answers exist already in our craft. If only we could grasp them all. I don't believe that. I think by looking at what others are doing, how others make their art, how others create, and then applying that to your own, that's how you go further. It's like Picasso would say, great artists copy. Sorry, good artists copy, great artists steal. But I think what he means there is stealing. It's an aggressive word, on the nose. But he's talking about creating something within yourself. Rather than saying, as an artist, I'm going to copy everyone else out there in the world and be like them. He's saying, figure out what's working for them and what will work for you. And then make it your own. So he says steal, but he means it in a wholesome way, I believe. Right. Get some more in here. Layer up in here. So we're starting to see those pinks and those reds becoming more predominant. The blacks falling back. We started with the blacks, but the blacks falling back in favour of the intensity in colour. I said I was going to move on to blues, but I'm just addicted to pink right now. So let me keep adding that in there, seeing where that takes us. We will jump across, of course we will, but not just yet. Not just yet. Need to get some more layering in here. There we go. There we go. Just up the top there. Lovely. There's the rafters. Now the beauty behind these rafters here, they're going to create perspective for us. They're going to show us, because we can't see the floor. No. Jade, I know what you're saying, but trust me, my addiction to pink started long before the Barbie movie came out. I just think it's the most punchy, beautiful pigment to throw into a work. When I say pink as well, probably if you're splitting hairs, you could say he means magenta. And so, in that sense, there we go. It's probably not correctly said as pink, but there we go. Magenta. So he's addicted to magenta. And then over here on the shirt here a little bit. There we go. Let me open that up. Kai. Making it smoother. What are you after exactly? It sounds like you're after a method. And you know one great place to go for methods now? If you've ever gone to a YouTube video and it feels like you're waiting round after round as they say, please subscribe to me. And we'll get round to the tip soon. But first, blah, 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 blah. You're like, come on. One thing that I've found really can answer questions on methodology in art is ChatGPT. If you want to ask it about prepping a surface, why you're doing certain things, and how to get the result you want, ChatGPT has some great answers. I'll normally, before I even test things out, I'll ask it things like, hey Chatbot, what's going to happen if I combine gouache on top of watercolor with a resin base of shellac? And it'll be like, well, blah, 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 blah. I say, well, thank you very much. And then you can test it out for yourself. But Chatbot can give you those immediate answers, which is kind of fun. Here we go. A little bit through here. And a little bit through here. There we are. Perfect. All right, let's grab the blues. And I'm going to need a little container. Where is one? There'll be one through here. This one's going to be fairly unique. Here we are. And Jay and Victoria, I get the feeling you might be fighting a losing battle today, but I'll just leave everyone to it. And if it is really, really, really rude or really offensive to someone, then get rid of it. But otherwise, we'll just make some art. Here we are. Wow. This is the first time I've seen it in that smaller frame. Yeah, that's coming along just nicely. Shadows in all the right spots. That's fantastic. Bit of this. Not too much, just a bit. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. This is the paint we're now working with. A luscious blue colour. As it gently mixes in there, bear with me. Come on. Come on. As it mixes. Now we're talking to it. This is the blue. Right. Alright. Thanks, Vic. All right. Let's have a little look-see here. In with the blues. Here we go. This is the first time we're going to start recognizing these colors in the t-shirts. And Michael. Absolutely, Michael. Love your vision there, by the way. We've done a couple of dog pictures, and this one here is actually commission. We've got this one. We were doing New Orleans just before, and then we've got a lovely picture coming out for one of our fantastic people of a hula girl. So this technique, jeepers, you're going back as ancient as Greece. You're going way back to Greece. You're going to Egypt. You are going ancient. When you talk about this technique, egg tempera, you're talking, there's works that we've still got. It would go on mummies and sarcophaguses. It would go on the Last Supper. It was from works literally 2.5 thousand years ago. This is the oldest painting technique you can imagine. But yes, if you go on the link in the bio, and if we've got the right match, we can go about making a commission together. Commission is one way to put it. I like to say project, because not all projects are perfect for me, but some of them are the brilliant match. Things of happiness, companionship, and love. This is where, and vitality, this is where my style can really thrive. All right. There we go. Lovely color on these shirts. Here's another one coming through here. And then down through here. There we go. Lovely. And up through here. This is a commission. So this is a lovely family of 4. That's what we're capturing here. There we go. Beautiful. There we are. Getting that little haircut in there with a whole bunch of colours. That's just what we're after. This painting here, it's got a great base coat on it now. But it's got another, in all honesty, I mean, we'll see. We're going to do a long session today. But I'm thinking, let's get to the end of this session. And from there, I'll have a better idea on trajectory of the painting. Layer 1's always wild though. This has been a really fun layer though. I'm seeing the shapes coming through it. I'm seeing the perspective. I'm seeing the depth. It's actually a really, really, really fun one. Here we go. Down in here. And khakis in here. Perfect. Beautiful. Gently layering. Oh, I just noticed this now. I think that's an iPad on the table. No? It's a menu. Thought it was an iPad. But anyway, down at the very, very bottom of the surface. I love that. Who are they? A beautiful American couple who follow us here, and they wanted to see this artwork get made, primarily because A, they had a space for a piece of artwork, but B, they wanted their children, A and B, to see a painting come together, how the colours land, how it gets made, which I reckon is pretty exciting. It's kind of cool to have the whole story there, and then be able to reference back to the full video and be like, oh, okay, I see, it's funny, I see what he was yarning about now. I look at the end result, at why he was so hard up on actually making those magentas and blues and purples and pinks predominant at the start, and those vermilions as they gently fall back. Here we go. Beautiful. Up through there. And down through here. Lovely. Lucy. You have been, Lucy. I'm impressed by you. You've been on a Lucy drought for months. And now, honestly, it's a bit too much. It comes off a little bit clingy. Jokes, jokes, jokes. It's great to have you here. Here we go. A little bit through here. You can see those blues, they're exactly the same tone as the pinks, but they're an exact, well, not an exact opposite, but a very different option in terms of hue, which is kind of fun. What type of paint compare? What is this type of paint compare to your other works as far as layering? The layering methods are fairly similar, and I have been scrolling through different methods of painting, trying to find the one that worked best with our hard and fast, primal, wild painting style. And I was trying to get things like, if you ever heard the original streams, I'd be yarning about acrylics and oils and how I was adding in different mechanisms to make them dry faster, to keep working. And would reach this stage of a painting and I'd have to stop. So I'd say, right, it's too wet now. Well, with this method of layering, with the egg tempera, we can just keep going and going and going, because it literally dries as soon as I add it, which opens up a new way of painting, and that I don't need to worry about exactly where the paint goes each layer, because I can just keep going. It's like every brushstroke has the same power, but has unlocked a new level of freedom. So, pretty fun method. Michael, you're an absolute legend. I'll check it out. Not right now, but I'll check it out. Now, there's going to be a little bit of blue that comes into their faces here. Just around their beards, adding in that extra colour. There we go. Beautiful. Lovely faces. Just want to capture that nice, friendly nature that they both have. There's no bad intent in either face. Just positivity, joy, happiness. All the things that I can get behind. There we go. And there's another eye there. Just starting to appear. Let me check that. Crimson Jaguar. Do the colours blend more or less? Do the colours blend more, or are they less brilliant in colour, etc.? Ah, I see what you're saying. The colours are undoubtedly more beautiful than any other medium. The pigmentation is arguably higher, in my mind, than anything I've used before. The luminosity of the colour is unparalleled. That's what attracted to me. That's what attracted me to it the most. The fact that the actual painting felt like it was shining from within. That was addictive. So, there we go. Shining from within. So it was the end result, actually, that compelled me to do this one. And then it came with the added bonuses of being completely fume-free, to be wonderful to work with, fast drying. It had a whole bunch of methods, touch points that obviously appealed to me. But there we go. but it was the end result, the finished product, that made me really fall in love with this method. That's what I'd say. Okay. Beautiful. Down in here for a little bit more. And up high. Up nice and high. Right at the top. This one here too. There we go. There's these poles coming down. Big wooden poles that sort of hang around on the ceiling here. So make sure we capture all of these. There we go. Beautiful. Cheers, Crimson Jaguar. You're an absolute legend. I appreciate that. Right. What is the next colour of the ring's going to be? God, if only... I need to take some pictures, team. Show you up close what happens with the colours. How they dry and how they look. But for now, just believe me that you can see through a lot of different pigments all at once. Now, next colour off the ranks. We're going to get a warm orange colour. It's going to go into our Venetian reds that we were using previously. Here we go. I always love mixing Venetian red in these little pots or a plate. It feels kind of like the Lion King. That's what I was thinking with Rafiki. And he's like Simba. Because you're like mixing up your own homemade pigments and doing so in one of these little pots. It's kind of fun. Kind of fun. Here we go. We're going to splash this around through here. And for the first time, start adding in a few of the little bits of detailed structure that make up some of the bits and pieces. There we go. Perfect. And then through here, here's the fish. I told you the fish would make an appearance, and it is. It's out in Storm, right there in the back. Beautiful. Now, probably the closest method we've done to a similar color, the closest color palette we've done that's similar to this one was actually for Steve. The last picture that was similar was at the crate, called The Little Prince of Siam. And Steve, you may notice the depth and the warmth of these colors and the actual royal purple playing a massive role in the underlying colors of the painting. So, but we're on a very, very different technique. But that's definitely playing a role in the work. Ah, good question, Crimson. Good question. Part of the reason for that is I wanted you guys to be able to see the color. So that's why it's in there. But typically too, because this is has a thinner viscosity, which means it feels more like water in the way you mix it and less like butter, it runs off the plate. So if I get excited and fling out to the side and move too much, the paint flies off the plate. So first off, that's embarrassing, but that's why we're on bowls and containers and wine glasses. The wine glass is just me being silly. I like the feeling of a wine glass in my hand while I'm painting. Of course, it's full of paint, but the idea behind it, actually, it just feels nice to hold. You know, you sort of feel like you're in the moment and you're just making art with a glass of wine in your hand. Okay, you want me to say it? I feel cool, all right? It feels good. That's why. But same with the plate though. With those thick, buttery style paints, they feel really good on the plate because it's like moving butter But I guess this feels more like a beverage, although it is egg yolk. So each their own, though. I say that as well. When you dress to paint, a lot of artists will step into their studios or environments to paint, and they'll just apply paint with this, what's the correct way to put this? In fat pants and singlets or stained clothes, and that's fine to do if you can, but if you don't feel the part, you're setting yourself up, especially early in your career, for imposter syndrome. And so I really recommend, rather than doing that, actually dressing in a way that makes you feel good. Don't feel like you have to wear polo shirts, dress pants and shoes, or a suit, or any of this ridiculous stuff that I do. You don't have to do this at all. But dress in something that makes you feel like you're about to do something meaningful for yourself. And that's treating your craft, whether that be painting, whatever it is, with respect. Because when you do that for yourself, it's a way of you valuing yourself. And then you'll be closer to getting success out of whatever you're trying to make. It doesn't mean you're going to be successful, but you'll certainly feel better about it. So I like to show up here feeling like I'm ready to paint. Feeling like I'm ready to paint. That's an important thing. Right. And this child here, coming down here, hand. Beautiful. 2 hands here. One going around the box. Beautiful. And then the other one just sneaking down there beside her father's. Lovely. And then down in here. Beautiful. Just around here. Fingers wrapped around that little box. There's a noodle box here. So we're just making sure we capture that. And these fingers come on down here. Lovely. Scoop around. Lovely. Beautiful. And then let's go just in here, this hand here. See how we're getting that a little bit lighter. Beautiful. You can see one of the biggest emphasis things we have right now is the hands wrapping around the children. Strong bond forming the family. Helios, I've got this, is an obsession, OCD, possibly. I need a psychiatrist to look at it. I love to keep the studio as clean as I can. And the reason I love to do that is it's my little part of control, my little thing that I can have control over so that I can let as much chaos land on the surface I'm painting. Control in the studio, chaos on the canvas. And it allows me to accept more mistakes, more hiccups, more wild cards on the canvas when I feel like I have control in every other aspect. It's kind of like, I think I explained that well. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. There we go. Let's get this across here. Thank you. Warming up this face. I want to capture these rosy cheeks. This gentleman here has this lovely smile with rosy cheeks. I want to acknowledge that in this picture. Get that emphasis on here. There we go. Lovely. Beautiful. Building up, and again, building up the layers, guys. Building them up. This takes time. This picture's not this dark, but to get the picture coming out of it, we have to start with it. You have to build it up, especially with egg tempera. Especially with egg tempera. Temptation is just to go straight to the end result. Caterpillars and cakes. That's what I describe it as. Caterpillars and cakes. Cakes need to be baked. The ingredients need to be mixed. It takes time. Caterpillars need to go into cocoons and eat hungry caterpillars until they're ready to become butterflies. And artwork's no different. I actually got the most amazing message yesterday from someone who said they loved the fact that we start from scratch here and build it up through a whole bunch of silly layers. Because I think ourselves, we're sort of terrified as artists sometimes to show the work in progress. We want to show the finished result in fear of being judged and the insecurity you might feel around that. But sometimes, all the time for me, show the work in progress. People will fall for it if you get there. Difficult for some, but remember, when it comes to painting, we're always trying to find ways with my art to make the paint dry faster. We add a lot of raw pigments onto the surface, one after another. And so a paint that actually dries fast plays right into my hands. I really like it, Crimson Jaguar. Really like it. In fact, adding fast dryers like liquid into oil paint is always really tempting. But actually, in all honesty, they smell so strong. It's such a chemical process. But this is all natural. And it wants to dry fast. It's really, really cool. How much time do you spend? So far, we started this morning. I'm not quite sure when. And we mixed up all the paints from scratch. If you missed it, I'm sorry. I think we'll do it next time. It was a great way for me to warm up. Yes, these are real people. Real family. Real dads. Real children. And we want to capture an element of that family and the love they feel for each other. That's the plan. There we go. Dog's good. Dog's happy. Not here, but happy. It's been a while since I've made a reel with one of those happy-go-lucky dogs. The time will come. There we go. Sneak that through there. Now, imagine this painting right now. At the moment, we've only captured these darker colours. It's unintentional to a degree, but we are working from dark to light at the moment, which I kind of like. We'll see where that takes us. It's not a necessity to do so, but we're just enjoying these deep tones, building the actual depth into the picture, one little stroke at a time. Sometimes paintings get made with one stroke. You see that sometimes. An artist comes up and goes, whoosh, then it's done. But for this type of art, it's the culmination of many strokes, all added with the best of intentions, one after another, slowly letting the painting build. Beautiful. Just up through here. Slowly letting the painting build. Barbie. I've painted all my life, but full-time artist, 2 years. He only did it funnily enough, out of necessity. I was originally just painting by myself, and I had some canvases, and every time I completed a work, I'd paint over it with white and start again. And it was during the first New Zealand lockdown that I turned on the live stream, actually, just because I wanted my family members to be able to join in, because no one was doing anything, except I was a bit of a fool. A fool? Well, pure chance. I didn't didn't lock the stream just to family members. I left it on public. And so what ended up happening is the world started watching. It was pretty wild. Philip, that was pretty cool. Thanks, mate. So Then all of a sudden, I had to make a choice because a lot of commissions were coming in. And I was having to tell people long periods of time before it could be ready. Long periods. So I made a choice that I was going to leave my job about 2 years ago and catch up on commissions. And then as I started catching up, I started falling behind again, and so on and so forth. And now here we are. Still doing it with vitality, still doing it with love, still with the same zest, and trying to lead with intention. That was the most important thing. I thought, if I'm going to do this, don't let the wild world change me. Keep approaching art with that same reckless abandon for the right reasons. And make artwork to make people happy. That was the goal. I think it does that. The messages I get sometimes from clients saying, hey, this is the effect. Thank you. It's kind of motivating. It's inspiring. It reminds you that actually that intention you led with, it's resonating. You can be proud of that. So that's pretty cool. Here we go. Now, previously we were talking about the fact that the painting looked exactly like the wall behind it. Well, now we've added so much blacks in, so much dark colours, so much depth. I don't think anyone's saying that it still looks like the the wall behind it anymore. So we've created a fantastic separation. It's definitely contrasting now. But we're a long way from really kicking into those lovely light colours. Not just yet. There we go. Now, next colour. What's it going to be, team? What is it going to be? Phthalo blue. Nitsy Fincy. Why has that been pinned? Who pinned that one? It's not a question. There we go. A little bit of this. That's very kind of you to say so. Here we are. A little bit here. A little bit more. Beautiful. Then we're going to grab a fresh brush. And what size are we after? About this size, actually. We'll let a little bit of the pink creep in there as we grab this with the blues. Here we go. This is our colour now. So we're getting into some more lighter blues. We've been painting since about... Jeepers, guys, is it fair to say it's been about since 9 a.m? I think it's been since 9 a.m. But we lose track. We lose track. Here we go. I think I might go as far as to add just a little bit of white in there. Do I dare? This is the first time a light pigment has entered the work. The Venetian red didn't really count. It was so thin. Here we go. Levi. That's because what you're looking at here is literally eggs, the yolks extracted, mixed with pigment. That's what you're watching. This is egg tempera. Here we go. Now let's do some quite wily strokes coming in here, team. Here we go. Lovely. So you're going to start seeing the intensity of colour coming out of it. Are you ready? This is going to be fun. Lucy's like she's at a festival right now. Egg painting, woo! You see what I'm seeing? He's using eggs. And this is the egg whites and membranes. So everything that didn't go into the egg yolk to make the paint is getting used as a protein shake. All gone. There we go. Now, back into this t-shirt. Where are we going to go next? Over the top here. I want to capture the brilliant... He's gone to the effort to wear such a nice shirt, so we want to capture that. There we go. Beautiful. A painting that isn't vegan. Yeah, fair enough. It's vegetarian. And a lot of paintings aren't vegetarian. True story. Because they use a lot of glue. Rabbit skin glue gets used a lot in paintings or other kinds. And as a base. So it's either egg or it's a giant combination of ruthless chemicals or animals. But as long as the chickens are well looked after, egg's one of the most natural, beautiful ways to paint, in my mind. But it depends, guys. Depends. Here we go. Let's capture this box here. Here we go. That sneaks through here. Down here like that. And then across here. See this? This is now becoming a noodle box, which he's holding in his hands, just like that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Right. So now you're starting to see the t-shirt coming in and a noodle packet that he's holding. And then there's a little tacker here. Just a little tacker. He's got this lovely painted shirt. Patterned shirt. Kind of matching her father, but with a slightly larger pattern. I kind of like that. There we go. A little bit in there. Then coming out around here. Let's get a little bit more of that white. In here, just down in here. There we go. Let's come all the way down so I can capture this little sleeve as it sort of turns into a... There we go. Beautiful. It sort of cuts in here, goes out a little bit. We won't fully paint that because that's going to be in a darker blue. Then this comes to here and across to here. Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. As we go, the warm smell of omelette fills the air. The paint does kind of smell, ever so lightly, of egg. Obviously, since eggs are in it. But within about 20 minutes, the smell of egg just dissipates. So, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to be painting with a method that doesn't fill the studio with fumes. So when you see a beautiful work like this, if you think this work's beautiful, if you hate it, I'm so sorry. But when you see a work like this, you can look at it and know that actually the artist didn't suffer to make it exist. The process was beautiful. There wasn't chemicals. It was just joy. It's kind of cool. There we are. Lovely. That goes through there like that. And there's a slide in there like that. Nice. And then there's a back here. Here's the man's back. We're going to capture that with just a little bit more white. 1 second. Here we go. There we go. See, that's the consistency I want. Nice and creamy. With just a little bit of a baby blue tone to it. Get that. There we go. See how that immediately has an impact there. Lovely. I'm going to sneak that across the back. And then across here. Just like that. And then on the face, bring this lovely blue color across the face. Just like that. Across the ear and over the back. Bang. So that is a little man who's looking out to the right. He's not part of the group, but he's going to add context to the whole thing. That's important. And then we've got some windows here with starting from this ear, with the light hitting a piece there, and then down in here, where we're going to go next. A little bit more blue. I want that white, but not too much. Down we come. There we go. See that beautiful potency in the colour. This is what I was talking about. Crimson Jaguar. We were talking about the colour pop. Now, for the first time, it may have seemed like the colours were more relaxed, more contained. But now we're really seeing the power that these colours can have, the presence that they can have in the work, as it really just jumps off the canvas at you. Lovely, popping baby blue. There we go. The owner. I won't say too much about the owner. I will say that they're American. But the reason our refrain is to maintain their privacy. But I haven't fully asked them how much I can disclose about the family, the bringing together of the shot and things like that. And so as we continue through it, I think I'll inquire with them tonight and make sure. Because normally I check. I say, hey, are you happy for me to delve into this a little bit? And they say, yes, of course, go for it. Or they say, can you be light on the details? So I want to make sure I don't break anyone's trust. So let's just say they're a family. We're trying to capture love, the bond of a family. And through that, the colour palette's going to represent that connection they all have to each other. And it's framed beautifully already, but there is this feeling of the arms coming around them. And the idea, g'day, actor. And the feeling of balance in it. Black bar across the top. Composition's really interesting, team. And I like the fact that there is a bit of an element above their heads. It's not right there in front of you. It's actually more subtle in terms of you feel like that in an environment. I like that. There's a lot to be liked about this. But we're still in those early days. Here we go. Beautiful. There's the window there in the back. And then there's a little, oh, that's nice. That's like a little thing here. This is the little cutlery stand. Never noticed that before. There we go. Just tucked in there. And then over here, again, we're just getting those white highlights. Table here, another one, another one, another one. Yeah, there we go. Another one. And then down through here. Nice, down there. Beautiful. I'm going to grab the same blue with this white here. And I'm going to go just across this face here. I'm going to start grabbing just a little bit of the light that hits this face ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. We're not going to overdo it, but we're going to start recognizing some of the features that make up this gentleman here. With a big brush though. This is quite a large brush to be just doing such small, minute detail. But the goal here is to just start adding a few more colours into the face. Showing the painting that we're not afraid to approach the face. We want to make sure that the details in the face, there's some things that we like in terms of, sorry, well, I just get this a little bit through here. There's some things that we like in the face in terms of this gentleman here. He's got a rounded face, but a nice chin. There's a little line there. So we want to acknowledge that. Thanks, Jules. Appreciate you. And he's also got a lovely forehead. Now, some men shave their heads and go bald or have their hair pulled back and things, and their foreheads have different shapes. This gentleman here has a lovely, smooth, rounded, very nice forehead. So we want to capture that here as well. And then this gentleman here he's made sure his hair's perfect. Now, that's not easy to do with 2 children. He's nailed that. So we're going to capture that. So that is going to be on the agenda. Now, in here, sorry, let me just get this a little bit through here. Down the sides of this face here a little bit. Just a few touch points. This face has more of a stark contrast on it. So there'll be a few little things we can capture, but not so much running off on it like we did on the other face. Just mainly some touch points. See, there's lots of these spots, but actually a lot of them don't want to be captured in the same wild context. There we go. Beautiful. Shirt, lovely. That's a different color up there. We're going to come down here. There's a bag down here. Now, a lot of the time, we end up focusing just on the characters. It's not about that. It's about spreading that paint all the way over the surface to all 4 corners and allowing the whole thing to build up together. You don't often see that in a lot of art these days. We're so pressured for time that actually these pockets, these corners, these moments around the canvas get less acknowledged, and the background usually takes the biggest blow of all. It's so relevant though, it builds context into the whole image. So give the background the time of day, is what I'm saying. And those little bits of detail that you didn't think were relevant, sometimes I love you to show those. And those little moments over the canvas are what make the picture special. You start in the middle, you see the faces, your eyes drift off to the background, but then if the background is not engaging, they don't drift back to the main subject. So, I like having a really beautiful background that brings your eyes back into the work. Big fan of that. There we go. There we go. And then this sort of spins out through here. Nice. See that? Nice. So there's this background there. It's sort of popping a little bit. Thanks, Kelsey. It's sort of popping a little bit out from the characters, but as we continue to add layers, it won't leap on top of the characters. It'll actually sit beside them. You'll see the distance coming in because we'll add warmer, rosier colors to their cheeks and faces. But the background will have as much tension and only fall back because we'll learn to acknowledge certain colors as being in the characters and certain colors as being in the background. But the importance on the background, the time we give it, it's equal. It's equal. There we go. So we're just getting all these little moments. There's some wonderful strings that come down through here. There we go. See, this is actually part of the restaurant where things are hanging. A couple of bits and pieces. Down this one here, this one there. There we go. And then this one arcs off a little bit. Nice. And then this one heads out of there. Nice. Couple little lines, very subtle. Below your eyes, you won't see them.